Hi guys, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? Ajibala Kimcho, Aj Sub Keseho. So today I'm going over Sun's transit in the sign of Gemini from June 15th to July 15th. Okay. Now, one thing really important here is that Sun gets aspected by Ketu. And another thing that's important is that all Saturn, Rahu, and Jupiter throw a full aspect onto Leo. Okay, so these are both pretty interesting. All these things. I'm gonna discuss them right now in a little bit. Now, right off the jump, what does Sun in Gemini represent? Okay, just blindly without just taking this one thing isolated independently. What does it mean? Sun, we know, is the ego, the identity, right? That you have. So the fact that it's in Gemini means that the ego, the identity, is trying to expand. Okay, so you could be trying to expand, right? So for example, me, I I like to work out, right? Now, I suffered a lower back injury, right? So I couldn't really work out for some time. But now in Aries, I started working out, right? Now, when Sun's in Taurus, it's like I'm kind of stabilizing my workout routine. And now when Sun's in Gemini, now I'm trying to expand out. So I'm trying to slowly incorporate my basketball routine back in, or my swimming routine back in, or my whatever routine back in, right? I can see myself doing these kind of things when Sun is in Gemini. Okay. Now, I was just kind of giving you that just to kind of explain, because the flow of the signs is very, very important. And it is arguably the most important for the sun and the moon, okay? Because its transits, like clockwork, go pretty much the same speed and never go backwards or anything like that around these signs. Okay, so the flow for the sun is very, very important. The flow of the signs in general is very, very important. Okay, but now, so I just kind of explained at a gist what Sun in Gemini could represent. Right now, how do all these other pieces come in? Because you've possibly heard me say in my other videos that you got to look at everything. Okay, everything just adds to the overall flow of the chart, which is very, very true. Now, how does everything else add in? Well, if you look, let's just start with Ketu, right? Ketu throws an aspect onto Sun. So what this means is that the things that you expand, Ketu is going to have an influence on it, right? Because Ketu throws the aspect onto the Sun in Gemini. So the Sun in Gemini, I already explained just that one piece. Now Ketu is throwing an aspect. That means it's making sure that the things you do have a little bit of like a karmic impact, I guess, yeah, you can say, right? So that's that. The things you do expand have somewhat of some kind of karmic flavor present. Okay, I'll leave it at that just for right now, just to move on with this video, because this is a very general video, right? Now, the other two things. So there's Rahu, Jupiter, and Saturn aspecting. Rahu and Jupiter basically make it. So why does the Sun rule Leo? Sun rules Leo because that ego, the identity, it's all about fulfillment. It wants to find fulfillment, right? So the fact that Rahu and Jupiter are both aspecting Leo means that the illusion and the guru are both trying to influence your identity. So the energies there get stronger. So the fact that Ketu is aspecting the sun, so you already kind of have a karmic thing there, okay, with how you're expanding. Now you can kind of decide, hey, based off of, how my ego, my identity is trying to expand currently in this one transit, how fulfilling is that to me? And is this fulfillment? And this is where you can use the extra spiritual kind of energies possibly to go further. Is this fulfillment possibly an illusion, or is this a real sense of fulfillment? Or is the things that I'm trying to do for expansion, is the illusion trying to trick me that this is not actually fulfilling, or is my guru consciousness energy trying to tell me that, hey, these things might not be fulfilling? Okay, I hope that made a little bit of sense. For example, I'll just give you the example, right? My basketball thing, right? So I need to find out, hey, is it actually fulfilling, right? It's a great stress reliever, social good stuff, all that? Or is it just an illusion? It's just something to boost my ego, make me let me just lash out in anger, all this kind of stuff, right? Or is it the opposite? Is my Rahu trying to convince me that, hey, this is actually not fulfilling because it's too lazy to seek exercise or things like that? Or is my guru actually saying, hey, this is actually not fulfilling? There's other ways of, getting the same benefits from basketball but you could be getting it in a better way. Okay, so that's kind of some things here that might come up. Now, Saturn there is also going to help. Okay, now we don't like malefics, right? Because they make us do things that are a little bit more karmic in nature, but these things guide us eventually most of the time down the right path, right? So Saturn here is kind of going to help you make sure that you, especially because it throws a third aspect onto Aries also, it's going to make sure that whatever you do is kind of in line with your karma right now. So you can use all this to really be aware of whatever areas of your life that you choose, or I guess you don't choose because Ketu's aspecting Sun, but whatever areas of your lives do happen to expand, how much fulfillment you're getting from these areas, okay? So I hope that made sense, how all the pieces here are coming together to form this. One other thing that's very important is that Mercury is in Taurus, but then it comes in Gemini, okay? So for the first 9 days of this transit, so 1/3, it's in Taurus, okay? And then also Venus and Mars, towards the end of this transit, like the last half to a third, they both go to Leo. So when they go, obviously we know Mars adds a little bit of frustration, right? So whatever it does, so basically Mars's influence in Leo, the second half of this transit, could make it so that you feel a little bit more frustrated and not as fulfilled when you do these areas of expansion, right? Which is a little bit normal, but this is just kind of how you could feel. What I would encourage you to do is just basically look at the positives, right? And be a little bit more intuitive about how things could give you fulfillment beyond how you initially perceive. Another thing is that Venus goes in there for the last 1/3. It will basically just have it so that when Venus is in Leo, that you're basically looking forward to fulfillment a little bit more, okay? So like I said, just keep your expectations in check in that sense. The first 1/3 of this transit, because Mercury's in Taurus, you could get a little sense of reservedness as far as the things that you do choose to expand in, but that will leave when Mercury goes into Gemini. Now, when Mercury does go into Gemini, it is conjunct the Sun and a little bit combust. So when it's in here, you do need to watch out for a little bit of like overconfidence, kind of. That's not quite the right word, but just don't get too crazy attached to whatever you choose to expand in, okay? I'll leave it at that. And if you do, just recognize it and try to detach as much as possible, okay? So that's going to be it for this transit. And I'll make a separate video on Mercury and Gemini, obviously, afterwards, okay? So if you have any questions or comments, you can let me know as usual. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.